Hey, so in this video I show you how to make Pfälzer Leberwurst at home. It's a regional specialty from Palatinate in Germany. I replaced the traditional pig's head with pork belly and lean pork meat. And then of course we need pork liver. The full recipe as always is below. Onions, then salt, which is traditionally used, no cure, and then marjoram, white pepper, sugar, nutmeg, allspice, and a clove. And I would say, yeah, let's start. As always, you need to cut the meat into strips first. The size you can vary depending how big your meat grinder is. Just make sure they have approximately the same size. And now we will fill them into a plastic bag and cook them sous vide. If you don't want to cook them sous vide, that's also possible. I have a full description there also in the recipe. The short form is that you skip the plastic bag and poach the meat directly in a pot with water. However, this version here is much easier. So once we got all the air out, you can cook it at 76 degrees Celsius for around 70 minutes. That's around 169 Fahrenheit. In the meantime, you can cut the onions and then add them into a pan with butter and fry them over low to medium heat. You don't want to have them crispy, you just want to get them translucent. And they should look like this. And then you can stop it. Okay, then cut the liver into pieces. Grind the spices into a super fine powder. Whoops, don't make a mess like I do. For me, this just helps to distribute the spices evenly throughout the sausage. And you have a fine powder here. Once the meat is cooked, you can separate the juices from the meat. And please make sure that you don't discard the juices, we will need them later on. Now use the residual heat in the pot for the liver and get it in there, and we will poach it for around 5 minutes. Get the liver out, and then it's time to grind the meat and the liver. It is a coarse liver sausage, however I use the smallest perforated disc, but we will not mix them in a food processor later on, because this style of liver sausage is coarser than like the fine one you probably know. Okay, then add the spices and the onions and the reserved broth to the ground up meat and mix everything well. Make sure everything is evenly distributed and it has like a nice consistency. And if you have the feeling that it's too firm, you can add a bit of the poaching liquid from the liver. The final texture should look like this. And then you can fill it into jars. You can of course also use casings for this. That's completely up to you. If you use casings, you need to poach them. If you go for the jars like I do, just make sure there are no air pockets in it. And then you can boil them for around 2 hours at 100 degrees Celsius, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Let it cool down, and there you have it. Beautiful Pfälzer Leberwurst on a freshly baked bread. You can really taste the marjoram, also the liver a bit. For my taste, this one was a bit too salty, so I adjusted the recipe. So yeah, the recipe you can see below is already adjusted. Let's give it a bit with mustard. Typical combination. Wow. Yeah, I love it. As always, you can find the full recipe below. And if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. There are weekly sausage recipes coming. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.